Hi, my name is Leah Kay, and my curriculum innovation is incorporating Indigenous perspectives. So this innovation is to improve the learning of all students by incorporating Indigenous perspectives into the teaching of mathematics. This innovation includes the 8 Indigenous ways of learning pedagogy, asking an elder to teach students, and creating mathematical concepts that relate to First Nations culture. So the context is a large metropolitan school in Brisbane with diverse learners. So why should we be investing in mathematics in school? There are so many reasons, however some are that mathematics develops students' skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, their ability to solve financial, scientific and technological problems, and their ability to use numeracy to improve their everyday lives. So why should we be investing in Indigenous education in schools? So Indigenous education enhances the learning of all students. Mathematics is so deeply tied to culture that we need to use culture and mathematics together to create a full learning experience for students. So this innovation involves students going to the Mount Coot-tha Lookout for a field trip and an elder teaching the students about the important areas of Brisbane to the First Nations community. So they might answer questions like the one on the left, where they compare distances using trigonometric rules. So this innovation was designed as a result of the ideas presented by the following literature. So in blue, we see that teaching Indigenous culture and using Indigenous pedagogies is so important to the learning of all students. Then in green, we see that the 8 ways pedagogy is so important for the learning of students. It helps differentiate for all students, but it also is just an incredible learning and teaching strategy. So in yellow, we see that mathematics is so deeply interconnected with culture, and therefore teaching maths from a purely westernized perspective does not effectively teach mathematics. Then in pink, we see that the use of elders teaching students is so powerful for students' learning. So the aim of this innovation is to construct an innovative learning experience that covers all of the mathematics curriculum objectives while incorporating Indigenous perspectives into this process. So this innovation is strongly linked to the Australian curriculum, which is why I designed it. So it has strong links to the learning area content descriptor, establish the sine, cosine, and area rules for any triangle, and solve related problems. It's related to the general capabilities, intercultural understanding, numeracy, and literacy. And finally, it's related to the cross-curriculum priorities, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures. So this innovation also has strong links to the policy documents. So we have National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Education Strategy 2015. Then there is the Inclusive Education Policy Statement, and it also strongly relates to all of these Australian teacher standards, the AITSL standards. So this innovation was differentiated so that it was inclusive for all students. So some examples of these are shown on this PowerPoint. For example, students who struggle to read or write, this activity helps them as students are they're speaking and talking to students about their knowledge, but also there's a map so students can learn visually as well. And then students who may struggle to pay attention in class, this activity is inclusive as it's engaging, it's in a real world context, and it's very engaging for students. So there are several anticipated outcomes. Firstly, it increases engagement in students. Secondly, it creates a deeper understanding of mathematics and how it's applied to real-world scenarios. Thirdly, students develop their understanding of First Nations culture. And fourth, students develop an understanding of the Indigenous ways of knowing and learning. And fifth, students understand that only learning mathematics from a westernized perspective is not really effectively learning mathematics. Okay, so the following time frame and steps are the P&C needs to approve this. Then the teacher needs to complete professional development to learn more about First Nations culture and ways of teaching and learning. Then the school needs to contact the First Nations community and ask if they would like to be involved. Then the students go on the field trip, and the students then undertake their own mathematical investigation. So the total cost of this is between $850 to $1,500, but also there are non-financial costs like effort and time. Other aspects that might need to be considered are that some students may have a deeper knowledge of Indigenous culture than the teacher, so we need to make space for students to teach each other. And additionally, it might be helpful for students who identify as from an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander background to teach this innovation, as they will have unique knowledge that they can impart on the student. So in conclusion, this innovation is strongly linked to policy, to curriculum, to differentiation for all students. And that's why I designed it.